You've hit play on the Screen Companion, where we'll help you pick something for movie night. On this episode of the Screen Companion, we're talking impactful films that taught us a lesson, affected us more deeply than just the fun of it. In the second half, we'll be talking Sylvester Stallone's directorial debut, the famous, seminal Rocky. But right now, my first guest is Max, and we're going to talk The Wild Robot from 2024, which is already breaking my usual format. I tend not to talk about stuff post-pandemic. However, this being our 100th episode, the 100th that's going to air, something makes me think that Max is going to pour his heart out on this movie. How could I deny that? The Wild Robot sees a shipment of helper robots wash ashore on a remote island. One unit survives intact, Roz, and immediately sets about looking for tasks to complete. However, there is only wildlife to interact with. Roz learns the language of the animals so that she can obtain an assignment. Help an orphan gosling learn to fly in time for winter. While the island's inhabitants fear Roz at first, they eventually learn to accept those that are different. So Max, you've got small kids. You're dialed into modern entertainment for children. How would you describe the content out there for the elementary school aged?
Kind of say disappointing at times. It doesn't feel like it's the same as what it was when I was growing up.
Definitely not.
There was a lot more grit back in the day where, looking back on it, it's like, should we really have been watching some of this stuff? At the same time, I feel like it just made me tougher and made me realize the reality of the world. Where nowadays, it's more for emotions and feelings and about the inner self as opposed to the rest of the world.
Do you find it to be very artistically interesting, kids' material now?
It definitely does catch the eye more, but a part of it also lost some of the feelings in terms of the amount of effort people actually had to put into this. Yeah, there's big budgets and all that fun jazz, but you just don't have the same grit, the same struggles that people used to have back in the day. Comparing what we do now with CGI as opposed to animation where each cell had to be drawn over and over to get the motion right.
Are there any content makers that you think are traps for kids? Whenever you're seeing what your kids might be watching, you try to stay away from certain brands?
Yeah, there definitely is. Every kid and their mom, and unfortunately their dads too, they know about things like Coco Melon. They know about all these other weird animation stuff that you find on YouTube. And as of lately, there's one that I really don't care for that Fernie and Seb have been watching. I don't even know what it's called, but it seems like it's Russian-based. Which gets really disturbing at one point when I realized that Fernie was learning how to count in Russian.
So do you find it difficult then to enjoy what your oldest likes to watch?
Sometimes, especially when he's watching whatever the youngest is trying to watch. For some reason, despite being more developed, despite having thoughts and ways to express himself, he reverts back to whatever the tiny one is watching. Buddy, no, you're watching better stuff on the big screen. Why do you keep watching what's on the tiny laptop or on the tablet? It's not the same, buddy. There's better things to watch. Stop watching Meow Meow Presents or whatever this thing is called.
Because Pokemon has been on so long, too long, I didn't like it as a kid, and so I can say that I know, like Detective Pikachu and this other stuff, I wouldn't like it if I was a boy right now.
How old were you when that stuff came up?
9, 10.
I feel like I started watching it when I was like 7 or 8.
When do you think Pokemon hit our shores? What was it, 97, 98? Around there?
Definitely around 97.
Okay, so yeah, I would have been 9. You're a year younger than me. You just gobbled that crap up, didn't you?
I did. Like, I remember stopping every Friday morning. I gotta watch whatever's on Channel 13 right now. That's where Pokemon airs before I go to school. And I remember all the toys that would come out. And I remember even back then, people were always like, my uncle who works at Nintendo. There was always that one kid. It happened in every school. Where's Nintendo around here?
Let me guess, you bought all the cards?
Surprisingly, no. Because even back then I was like, oh, these look kind of cool. I don't feel like spending my money on this. I'd rather buy the games instead.
The Game Boy games?
Yeah. Little did I realize that I probably should have invested in those cards and kept them locked away.
So have you tried yet to get your kids to watch stuff from your childhood?
I tried making Fernie watch the Magic School Bus. The older version, not this new one that came out recently. He was okay with it for like 1 or 2 episodes. He hasn't asked for more. There's been like the older animation movies, like The Brave Little Toaster. He was all about that for the longest time.
Become an active listener by joining the Screen Companion. Subscribe on YouTube, hit us up on X, and our Facebook group. Let us know your favorite episodes and what topics or films we should tackle next. Further support the host by buying his novel, Self-Recognition, a futuristic detective story, available on Amazon in print and digital formats. Now, back to the show. What about The Wild Robot resonated with you beyond its family entertainment appeal?
The struggles of being a parent. I mean, yeah, that's a very short way of putting it. As you watch the movie, you see Rosm go from this cold machine whose main objective is just completing tasks to having to care for this thing until it can fly. And you see Rosm slowly change itself and evolve, going from, okay, let's go find some shelter for you. Let's figure out how to feed you. And now we gotta do this all over again tomorrow. As a result of the way it's being raised, the Gosling, you see that it's not being raised in a natural way. You see him become this awkward duck, literally. And it's all because the robot doesn't know how to really truly connect to the other animals. There's this one scene where the one intact Rosm finds like the shipment of Rosms that were wrecked in the storm, puts one together, tries to get advice on how to complete its objective, and it literally starts having a bit of a breakdown, discussing about how it just doesn't know what it's doing, it's just winging it. In the movie theater, when that happened, I was like, girl, same. I think I remember seeing a bunch of other people start cheering up during that scene. And I was like, why do my eyes burn too? Are we being gassed? What's going on?
How often would you say you have these moments in these types of movies?
It doesn't happen that often. It has to be something that really resonates with me. And this is actually one of the first few times where I was like, I never realized this. I've been struggling this whole time. I mean, I knew I've been struggling, but I never really thought about it. This sucks.
No parent has a handbook for it, so the struggling part sounds natural and normal. But I'm surprised you hadn't really thought about it too much, considering you're 2 kids in.
I think a part of it is just I always thought to myself, I just need to get through this day by day, and I never really think that far ahead.
Roz is pretty busy for a lot of the movie. I can't exactly connect to all the scenes with the Gosling, but something felt really true in that one scene where she's building the wigwam and the Gosling wants to help, but all it has is tiny twigs, and it keeps pecking at her so that she'll lift him up so he can put little tiny twigs in.
That's basically me whenever I do yard work.
And then the scene shifts. You see the time lapse, and you can see her just get more and more resigned, but he gets happier and happier helping.
Hits too close to home.
Would you rather the media your boys consume have lessons sprinkled throughout, or just take them on a fun ride for 80 or 90 minutes?
I'm pretty sure they would appreciate the fun ride more than anything else. There's no way that my kid at his age will really take any lessons to heart.
When I think about what we watched as kids, I think they did a really good job of making it fun and having some moral in there. That might be something about the Wild Robot that surprised me. The beginning of the movie is very frenetic. She's essentially just out of the box, getting used to being on the island. And all the animals dislike her. Raccoons are trying to rip her apart. And there's a lot of slapstick. And there's a lot of chasing and a lot of humor. But then it shifts gears to a point where it just seems to focus a lot on the feelings and the lessons, the themes, and I wanted more funny.
Now that you point it out, I do see it, but earlier on, most of the time it was just, there's always something that's going to be funny that happens on screen, and I can tell what parts are really meant for that kind of stuff based on how Fernie reacts, based on what he ends up copying later on, or what he really latches onto.
Do you ever pre-screen or do research before your kids see it?
I actually didn't, but for this one, Laura took care of most of that work for me. She mainly did it by reading the book with Fernie at bedtime before the movie came out. She spent this whole time trying to hype him up through it, and then finally when it came out in theater, she took him out to go watch it. And there was no, let's go watch the movie beforehand, there was none of this other stuff that usually happens. And I don't think we've done that with any other film at this point either. It's always been, oh, we know about this movie, I'm pretty sure Fernie's gonna like it, let's go watch it.
So were you there when they saw it?
I wasn't there for the first one, but I was there for the second time when I had to go see it with him. And he was so hyped up for it. He was ready to go. He's like, we're gonna go watch it again? Yeah, let's go. Dad, you're gonna love it. It's so funny.
How many times did he end up seeing it?
In theaters, I think he saw it twice at least. I don't think he saw it a third time.
Yeah, that'd be spoiling him.
Yeah, at home, we ended up buying the film as soon as it came out on, what was it? I think it came out on Amazon. I feel like we watch it at least once a week at this point. Sometimes more than once a day.
Oh, he's still watching it.
Oh yeah, no, it's part of our circulation. We've been watching that. We've been watching, what else have we been watching? Well, as of lately, he's gotten to Mario playthroughs, but yeah, we've been watching Tarzan as well. We go through a little spree where we watch certain films and then we stop watching it for a sec, switch over to a second batch of animations to watch from Disney Plus.
Wow, so you have even a more interesting perspective on this movie. Seeing it so many times, what does that do to your understanding of the movie? Or basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is at the 20th time you've seen it, what's changed by that point as far as how the material's hitting you? Or does it change?
Oh no, it definitely changes. Like, I become more desensitized to what I'm watching. The first time when I saw Rosin Breakdown, it really did hit. Afterwards, it's more of a, okay, there's just a scene in the movie that just happens, and I can move on, go do the dishes or whatever while Fernie does his thing and enjoys it.
Are there any jokes that still really land for you?
Yeah, give me a second here.
Like you might stop drying the dishes just for that one moment, and then you go back.
I know one scene that Fernie and Laura always call back to is during that one training montage where the possum yells at Brightbill to get back up in the sky. That's always a little gag that they laugh at. For me personally, it's more about one of the earlier scenes where that possum's introduced, where she's talking about how being a mother is tough, especially when you have to raise 7 kids. You hear one of them start being eaten off screen, and she's like, 6 kids.
Dude, I loved that.
Petunia's been in front all day. The prettiest possum always rides in front. Try being pretty with my tail jammed in your eye.
Bartlett! Stop jamming your tail in your sister's eye.
I'm Rowan. Bartlett would laugh a little.
Are you sure? Who are all of you? Go away.
We're your children. except for him.
Well, this is what I get for taking a walk. Where's your mommy, little guy? The monster!
You gotta die faster. Meningitis takes a while. What did you pick? Rabies. Spontaneous combustion. Nightshade salad. Sepsis. Hey! I picked sepsis!
None of you are doing it right. We talked about this. Dead things don't have to explain why they're dead. Now we're gonna get killed for real.
Sorry, Mom. Sorry.
This Gosling is yours.
Negative. That Gosling stalks me, emits noise, and makes simple tasks more complicated or impossible.
Yeah, they do that. Goslings imprint on the first thing they see, which would be you.
Congratulations.
As far as he's concerned, you're his mother now.
I do not have the programming to be a mother.
No one does. We just make it up.
Without an assigned task, my next priority is to return to factory.
Taking care of him is your task now.
Task acquired. Return mode delayed. A Rosm always completes its task.
You're lucky you just have one. As a mother of 7. 6 babies. It's a full-time thing.
And then they undid it by saying, oh no, actually that kid survived. It's like, no, don't go back on this. That felt so edgy. That felt so 90s. Give it to me, give it to me.
It would have been great if they kept it the way it was, but, I mean, I'll still take it as it is, just because it's kind of like, look, Mom, I'm alive. It's like, oh, lovely, okay. I think that's the only reason why they kept it, just so they could keep the mom's, like, indifference toward her kids, like, oh, what a shame. Alright, I guess I still need to suffer with this one, too.
I don't think that's as good as keeping the kid dead. Not just for my own dark sense of humor, Max, but because at first I thought the movie was going to do something that was really going to teach kids a lesson, which it backpedaled on, or maybe never intended, but basically, the beginning of Roz being on the island, and you see everything running away from something else, or something trying to eat something else.
Allow me to introduce myself. Fink, predator and local goose expert, which I know you could use about now.
You are the destroyer unit.
It's okay. I won't eat him. Are you crazy? I might eat him.
You said you would not.
Do you believe everything you hear?
Yes.
Noted.
Why did you steal my Gosling?
I'm a fox. I do foxy things. It's in my nature.
Your programming.
Why'd you help me?
I'm a robot. I do robot-y things. I seek tasks and ensure all essential needs have been met or exceeded. Think, as a local goose expert, how do I get to eat, swim, fly?
I thought you'd never ask. Let's start with eat.
I was hoping the movie would keep consistent with that, to say, hey, there's a circle of life. Almost like a new version of The Lion King. The lives of things goes, some things eat plants, some things eat other animals.
The rules of nature.
Yeah, and having the possum baby get eaten would have been a great reminder of that. The world can be cruel. And, not necessarily intentionally. It's just the way life works. But then, at one point, they're all huddled together in that wigwam, and it's winter, and they make a pact not to eat each other. At first, it sounds like just until they get through that harsh winter. But I don't know, Max. By the end of it, I get this feeling that they're all friends.
Yeah, that did take away the whole wild nature aspect of it for me. They went from being wild animals surviving to we're a community now. Friends don't eat friends. It's a little hokey, but I think they mainly did it just for the later scene where they all band together and help Rosm. I think that was the whole point of just doing that whole section.
Yeah, maybe if they just called another truce, just long enough to help her out. So there's a bear on the island, and he makes a joke about eating somebody, and then he says, no, I'm kidding, don't worry, we're friends. And I'm thinking, no, you should try to eat that other animal, this bear, who might be the last bear on the island, it doesn't look like there's a Mrs. Bear. What's going to happen to him in 6 months if he can't eat any protein?
I never thought about that for a second. I knew that there was a bear, but I never thought about there being more than one. I don't really know the scope of the island in that sense. They make it seem like it's really tiny and pretty remote.
Yeah.
They don't show how small the island really is.
One of the subtleties of the movie is that it takes place in the future. Seems like part of the world is underwater. At one point we see the Golden Gate Bridge underwater, which doesn't necessarily mean sea levels have risen. It could just mean that the Golden Gate Bridge collapsed.
Don't take this away from me. I want San Francisco under.
Maybe that island is actually a piece of Michigan, and it's so biodiverse because it used to be normal land and now it's just surrounded by water.
Yeah, I can see that making sense. That seems like some good lore.
Obviously thinking too much about it for a kids movie, but I maintain, from the glory of doing 90s kids movies for this podcast, you can have a movie that appeals to kids and is also smart.
I'm pretty sure it's still doable. I'm trying to remember if there's been anything else like it recently. Nothing comes to mind yet.
That gets to something about The Wild Robot. It definitely has messages. It has some laughs. Like I said, I wish it was more spread out, but that's okay. But I don't know how much it stands up to scrutiny as far as the story. Maybe it's a vegetarian message, why all the creatures, suddenly the predators aren't going to eat the prey. But that just feels like such a idealistic message that doesn't actually work in the real world.
Even early on when they're trying to feed Bright Bill, you see Fink explaining this to Rosm as little Bright Bill is just trying to survive while he's in the little puddle, and he's almost being eaten by 3 or 4 different other animals.
Yeah, that was great. I love that.
It was a good little sequence.
They just totally forgot that part of it. And there's one point where an owl is hugging a bunch of mice, or maybe rabbits, I forget, but little babies that he would normally be eating. And it just makes me think, what are any of them going to eat?
Berries.
Dingleberries.
Ugh.
Hearing you talk about watching this movie over and over again, it reminds me of my first or second VHS that I ever owned, which was All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Oh, God.
And I still love that movie. And it's weird to think that at 4, I didn't really pick it. I think my grandmother got it for me. And she could have easily chosen a stinker, but luckily it got played in the VCR many times. And it's classic to imagine kids of the 90s wearing their parents' patience thin by playing tapes over and over. But some of that has to do with lack of options. If I wanted to watch a movie right then and there, all I had were the 3 or 4 videos adults bought me. So of course I watched something like The Land Before Time multiple times a week. This day and age where there's so much content, are you just being a stingy bastard and you're not letting your kid watch what he wants? Or is it just a kid thing that they latch onto something and run it into the ground?
Oh, you sweet summer child. Kids love repeatability. They love knowing what's going to happen next before it happens. They live for it at this age. I can tell you right now, Fernie has access to a full library of whatever's on Disney, whatever's on Netflix. We've actually bought a couple of other movies to expand on that collection, and he still chooses the same thing over and over. I can tell you right now, he is watching a Mario Odyssey playthrough on YouTube that he's already seen 12 times. But it's just what he wants to watch instead. I asked him, what do you want to watch, buddy? Please pick a movie or something. He was like, I want to watch this. And it's not a movie, buddy, but you know what? It's your choice. Here it is. It's just how they work. They don't care. They're going to keep watching the same thing into the ground. They're going to listen to the same song over and over.
I want to believe that if I had the choice as a kid, if for some weird reason adults came to me and opened up a giant VHS store and said, buddy, have at it. Whatever tapes you can carry, bring yourself a hand truck, that I would have watched more things, a variety of things. Were you excited to watch reruns on TV, like Nickelodeon?
If they were good reruns, yeah. I remember we would actually record TV shows on VHS.
Heck yeah.
And during the daytime, play it over and over. Like, oh, we just ran through the 6-hour tape. Rewind it. Let's play it again. Or, you know what? Let's mix it up. Let's play this other 6-hour tape of TV shows we recorded from last week. And that's just what we would do. We even went to the public library. We had their whole collection available to us. We could only get 2 a week. And every now and then we would still get the same video, like after a week or 2. Because the rule was we had to let it go for a while to let other people watch it.
Maybe that was an early sign that someday I would do this show. Because whenever we went to do our weekly rentals, I don't believe I rented the same thing that often.
Was it because it was free or did it cost money?
It cost my dad money, it didn't cost me a thing.
That's probably why.
He would make fun of me for picking the same thing again. I didn't do that often. Like maybe I would rent the same thing, I don't know, 3 times in a year, if that. Because there's just always new stuff coming out. Stuff that I'd already seen at the theater. Watching again on VHS.
You just knew you had to watch it over to catch the things you'd missed the first time. But you didn't know about it.
Okay, you see it on the big screen. That's cool. But then, back then, it's like, oh wow. That movie I saw on the big screen, I can now see in my living room. Yes, on a smaller screen, but it's intimate. It's at my disposal.
I can pause it, I can go get myself some water, go to the bathroom, and I won't miss a thing. This is great.
And after I've watched it, a couple days later before I have to return it, maybe I'll watch it again. I can do anything. Nobody can stop me. Well, so what was your favorite scene from The Wild Robot?
You know, despite watching it over so many times, I want to say because I become so desensitized toward it, it's kind of been muddled up and hard to pick. I don't want to just give a cop-out answer like, oh, that scene where Rosin breaks down and starts spilling her guts out. Where she's talking to Rummage. That's what the other robot was called that she put together.
Very good, Max.
It's all slowly coming together.
They're brainwashing you.
Maybe it would be part of the montage scene, watching everything come together. As cheesy as that kind of montage was, I think I just appreciated it a bit more just seeing how everything went from like this struggle to actually meeting the goal.
Of helping the Gosling fly.
Yeah, we're going to find ways to support you in ways that I cannot, so I'm going to build this runway, this beaver's going to make me a new leg, and we're going to get this, what was it, like this falcon to teach you how to fly with your tiny little piece of shit wings.
I would have liked that montage a lot more if it wasn't for that damn song.
I think that song was made specifically for the movie, and I don't think it won any awards.
Good, it's just so milquetoast. It feels very modern. Modern, safe, pop, folk music. I don't know how to describe it.
Laura and the kids love it.
What age do you think this movie would appeal to the most?
I mean, it definitely worked for 5-year-olds, apparently.
Let's not base it on how many times a viewer is willing to watch it, but just as far as who's going to get the most satisfaction out of it from a viewing.
Maybe someone who's like still in elementary school, maybe 3rd grade and up, I want to say. So if you're between 3rd and 5th grade, it's probably more or less meant for you. Anybody younger, you'll probably lose a lot of the material. Anybody older, you're probably going to roll your eyes toward it.
Do you think when Fernando is doing his own podcast or maybe some Twitch stream a decade from now, do you think he'll be talking to his chat saying, hey, I remember that movie, The Wild Robot. It's so cool that my parents had me watch it, because now in this age where we have robots built by Amazon, I named mine Roz.
Yeah, very original little Fernie. If that's the worst he comes with during that live stream, then you know what? I didn't do a bad job. Could have gotten a whole lot darker. Like, this is what my parents would play in the background while they fought over finances as we were about to lose the house.
Well, I forgot to mention, he then puts down the gaming controller, and then he picks up his makeup brushes.
Oh God, no. Bernie, no.
He still lives at home. This isn't too far into the future, Max. You're still around, so you're in the other room doing that exact thing you just did. No, Fernie, no! Put the lipstick down, boy.
Unless you're pulling six figures, you cut that out right now.
So, this is the 100th episode of TSC that's going to get released. And I wanted to look back at how it all started. The first episode was recorded on May 30th, 2021, and was released October 23rd of that year. Having been there for the first episode, Max, do you see any difference from the way you spoke then to now?
A little bit of yes, because I feel like I have a bit more confidence now. I'm actually putting a bit more thought into my words. At the same time, it's still just a bunch of word salads coming out of me as I'm just making it up on the fly. So there's some improvement, but it's still the same old me. Just a bit more prepared most of the time.
Well, at the time, I wasn't sure if maybe the way you were behaving was just because I don't think you had done much mic stuff, and so it was new, and it was new to all three of us on that episode.
It was definitely a mess from my end.
But you have excelled at talking more and getting your ideas out. Like, I noticed the early episodes, the way you would speak was a little different than how you would interact in person, which I thought was a little strange. Maybe because we are analyzing these movies, that maybe it kicked your brain into a different gear, and so that's why you were behaving differently.
Could also be that the only experience I had of being in front of a microphone at that time was during my office meetings where I had to discuss anything that came up with problems.
And so now you don't purely associate microphones with work and pain.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you recall anything about what you thought when I mentioned the podcast to you and doing it?
Well, I mean, I definitely remember thinking it was a neat idea. I wasn't sure if it was going to last as long as it has at this point, I'll be honest. It's an interesting project to keep us busy, and I do want to see where it goes. And I'm still waiting for the sponsorship checks to start rolling in.
According to Rumble, I've earned like 6 cents.
I was promised a purple mattress at some point.
At some point. Legally, that could be 50 years from now. It could be on your deathbed. It could be your deathbed.
I can wait.
Also, has TSC affected the way you watch new movies or think about old ones?
Watching them as of lately, not really. I don't really think much more besides whatever's on the screen and just, usual processing. But it has changed my perspective on some of the older stuff. It does make me think more about the time and what was going on around that time when it came out and how we've changed between then and now. I do look at more of the cinematics in that sense, whereas before I would have thought, these were just limitations. This was just what people were stuck with, as opposed to this is what people wanted to see.
Do any particular episodes of the pod stick out in your mind?
The two main ones that are still stuck with me is the first time we did Westerns. Is this our most popular podcast at this point?
That you were in, yeah.
Oh. Hell yeah, I'll take it.
That did very well.
And the only other one that kind of still stuck out with me was, I forgot which one it was, but I watched Little House on the Prairie and it changed my perspective on that show.
Oh my god, that's great.
I've been meaning to go back to watch more Little House on the Prairie at some point, but I just haven't had the time.
Holy crap, buddy. If you need a guide through this journey, my dad listens to this podcast and he hates Little House. Or at least he thinks it's very weird that I'm into Little House, that I got into it at such a later stage in life.
You don't understand. I just want to go back to a simpler time. I don't want any more spreadsheets. I want to explore the frontier.
Yeah, you know, if you talked about spreadsheets with the people on Little House, they'd probably ask you, what about my bed sheets?
It would probably walk me out to the sunset and tell me to just keep looking at it as they load one into the chamber.
That's something we'll have to save for another day. Definitely. I've got so much more Little House to talk about. 4 years in, why do you still do the podcast, Max?
I do it for the love of the game. It's a great way for me to get exposure to like different movies, different shows that I probably would never watch on my own. And I mean, it's something to do. It's something to get myself out there and try and break out of my shell as I am.
So I'll have you answer this one to round us out for this episode. Now, I would say one of the interesting aspects that I hadn't considered doing TSC is finding out more about my guests' tastes in movies. Out of other guests you've participated with, and you can include me too, who do you think you align with the most, and who have you found their opinions on whatever stuff we're covering is usually far from you?
I'm trying to remember who I've had the most beef with whenever we've done this.
You're not a beefy individual. You get along.
No, yeah, that's the thing.
You're not like those rascals John and Andrew.
Wait, they really like oppose each other's taste in movies in that sense? Like they have different opinions?
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they mess with me.
I've hardly been on with John, that's the thing. Like I think we've only been on for like 1 or 2 episodes. Was it him or was it you who recommended that one god-awful movie that was about that band in that high school? Does that ring any bells?
Band in a high school.
It was like this chick who really wanted this one punk rock band to show up. They were trying to do a contest. It was a god-awful movie.
Rock and Roll High School?
Was it Rock and Roll High School?
But it actually turned out to be a movie. I think that was an instance where, was it you saw it, but we actually changed the billing?
Yeah.
And so it was never actually on the show?
It was never on the show. It was initially on the billing, and I watched it.
Yeah, it was me. It was me.
I think the initial plan was to hate watch it.
Possibly. Look, sometimes everybody's got their own style with what they choose. Some people will choose movies for a theme knowing it will fit. And then sometimes, like myself, I'll say, well, I've actually not seen this movie, or I've only seen pieces of it. I wonder how good it is. And then you pull that slot machine lever and see if it works out.
That was the worst movie I've ever seen. I still can't get over it.
Well, then, I think even though I'm the reason you were exposed to it, I think ultimately it shows that I have great taste because the editor and me realized not to put it on the show, and we didn't do it. And that trauma you suffered was for nothing.
It helped me grow. Fernie, we're never watching this movie. Don't worry about it. Avert your eyes, child.
I love the car episodes we do, and maybe I'll break my rule again for that Brad Pitt racing movie that's coming out.
Oh, F1.
Yeah, you gonna see that?
Yeah. I'm not excited for it, but I'm still going to give it a watch.
Do you know a lot about F1?
I know a thing or two. I'd say so.
Okay.
As I have a collection of F1 Legos in my closet and an F1 built race car at my office desk.
Does it ever get awkward where your kids see it, like, I want to play with it? You're like, no, that's a collectible. Stay away.
It's more like, you know what, buddy? Here's your Legos. Look, it's Mario. It's way cooler than my cars. Don't worry about it.
1976's Rocky follows Rocky Balboa, a small-time boxer and illicit loan collector, as he finally gets his chance to prove he's not a bum when heavyweight champ Apollo Creed picks him for a New Year's Day show fight. At the same time, Rocky gets shy girl Adrian to go out with him after her brother ruins the Thanksgiving turkey. Now, being Stallone's first big movie, what characteristics is he already exhibiting that you think Andrew will follow throughout his career?
It's not holding against him, but I know that he has a very unique delivery and voice. And luckily with Rocky, it leans into it with the whole, hey, yo, stuff like that. But montage is his thing. He loves montage. When we did the episode for Rocky IV, the director's cut episode, there was a documentary on Amazon Prime about Stallone recutting Rocky IV. And there was a snippet of him talking about how montage is like one of the best ways to tell a story efficiently. And he sticks with it. He definitely sticks with it. The stuff that he uses it on, typically he uses it for like training and getting ready for something. Rambo, he might have like something for getting ready to kill a bunch of dudes. Rocky, it's always training. And it is really efficient. Like, I have to agree with Stallone. But he'll maybe be jogging a little slowly, or he won't be making up the steps. And then at the end, he makes up the steps. Or it's actually not even from Rocky 1, but in Rocky 2, in the montage, he's trying to catch a chicken. And at the end of it, he catches it because that was like the big thing to work on his agility. It can just come off as cheesy. Luckily, with this being his first big movie, it's hard for me to think something's cheesy. I'm watching someone's first time or, when it's still new for them, you know what I mean? So the montages I don't think are corny at this point.
I think also Stallone, an arrow he already has in his quiver this early on, is something that I think is a signature move, which is anguished introspection. He's got a gloomy look for every occasion, and it's on full display in this movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, in the whole Rocky series, you can make a case for him being certain movies maybe more downtrodden than usual. But, I mean, this is his origin. There are even a few characters in this movie that just point out, like, how he's never had a fair hand at life, or he just has really bad luck. He can mug for the camera where you can see, like, oh, dude, this guy's going through it. Something about his pre-plastic surgery look, his eyes look a little sadder before he got his face fixed.
When was that?
Well, you can tell there's a difference in the way he looks from Rockies 2 to 3.
Oh.
There's a line in the third Rocky about him getting work done. Oh, you got your face fixed. Like, if you were to do side-by-sides, there's a noticeable difference.
Give me some examples, either in his backstory or scenes from the movie, where it sucks to be Rocky. A lot of crap happens to him that's just sad.
Yeah, it sucks to be Rocky at the beginning when he wins his fight. And then just as he's walking out, this woman's like, you're a bum. And it's like, all right, that's uncool. The bookie that he works for, his driver is always giving him crap. His best friend, Paulie, is like the biggest sack of crap in the movie.
He's an alcoholic.
He's an alcoholic, and he's a guy who really, like, he does some things for Rocky. The whole movie, he's typically asking Rocky for things. He wants Rocky to hook him up a job with the gangster that Rocky works for. And, you know, Rocky's trying to keep Paulie out of it. I would too, because he'd probably make him look bad. Halfway through the movie, Paulie overhears Rocky say, like, I don't know what he wants from me. And then he's like, oh, I don't want anything from you. But, like, that's been his character arc for the whole film.
Yeah.
The next time they talk after that fight, Paulie's like, hey, I came up with an idea to make money off your name. And Rocky's like, all right, whatever, you do you. And Rocky got nothing from that advertising deal. Well, no, he got a robe. He got his robe from it.
An ill-fitting robe.
Ill-fitting robe, yeah. I think the most brutal thing was when, after Mickey tells Rocky off about how he's a loser and he could have been a good fighter, but he was just a bum. And then Rocky gets the chance at the belt, and now Mickey's coming up to him like, oh, I always believed in you, kid. Let me be your manager.
I want to be your manager. You follow that, do you?
First said I don't need no manager.
But you can't buy what I'm going to give you. I mean, I've got pain and I've got experience.
Well, I got pain, I got experience too.
Listen, kid.
Hey, look,
Yes,
hey, Mick.
What?
Look, I need your help about 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago.
Right.
You never helped me. You didn't care.
Well, if you wanted help. I say, if you wanted help, why didn't you ask? Why didn't you just ask me, kid?
Look, I asked, but you never heard nothing.
Well, I'm 76 years old.
Long enough to get you. You 10 years ago to my house. Huh? What's the matter? You don't like my house? My house stink? That's right, it stinks! I ain't asked no favors from you! Don't fall around me! Talk about your pride. What about my pride, Mick? At least you had a pride! I ain't had no pride, I ain't had nothing. Legs are going, everything is going, no one's getting them nothing. Guy comes up, offers me a fight. Big deal, want to fight the fight. Yeah, I'll fight the big fight. I wouldn't want to fight that big fight that was going to happen to me. I want to get that. I want to get that. And you want me ringside and see it? Do you? You want to help me out? Huh? Do you want to see me get my face kicked in?
People take an interest in Rocky after he has this opportunity because they know they can get something from him. And he's just a nice guy, so he's going to let them get something from him because, I mean, deep down he knows that he doesn't really have too much else to offer other than just letting people ride his coattails until they no longer need him.
Yeah, so I hadn't seen this movie in, 15 years? I was apprehensive at first because the Rocky character in this first one, he's just such a rambler. You know, he just doesn't shut the hell up.
Yeah.
I just dislocated my finger. Look at that. Oh! No, hey, wait, hey, it ain't your fault, look. See? Look, I had it, it's an old wound, you see that? Look. See? Nothing, it bends like that. See, I originally done it, look, push the button. Bong, it works. No, it ain't your fault, look. Yeah, I originally done it, I carry pictures of all my fights. I originally done it in the Baby Crenshaw fight, you see that? Big Baby's at the size of an airplane, I broke both my hands on his face. I lost that fight, but that's a nice picture, don't you think? See how it works there? Real nice. Come on, you having a good time? I'll tell you, you can see I ain't too graceful, you know what I mean? I don't move well. But I'll tell you, I can really swat, you know what I mean? I can really hit hard. But I'm a southpaw, and nobody wants to fight no southpaw, you know what I mean? Huh? You know how I got started in fighting? Huh?
No.
Well, my father, he's, my old man. He was never too smart. He says to me, you weren't born much of a brain, you know, so, you better start using your body, right? So I've become a fighter.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Why you laughing?
My mother, she said the opposite thing.
What'd she say? What'd she say the opposite?
She said you weren't born much of a body, so you better develop your brain.
Even if he is annoying in a lot of the first half of the movie, it's hard to dislike him because it's like all the good karma that might have been in Saturday Night Fever and those characters, they took that goodness and gave it to Rocky. This feels like the nicer guy version of John Travolta in Fever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he...
You know, like they're both gritty movies. It's both inner city. But in one, you have people sexually assaulting a girl. And in this, he's actually trying to tell like a 12, 13-year-old to not act so rough around guys, to try to be more ladylike or be more, I don't know, hang out with nicer folks instead of trying to like put the moves on her like they would in the other one.
Yeah, it's he is the classic heart of gold character. He does bad stuff. I mean, he does work for a bookie. The one time you see him doing his job, he's supposed to break this guy's thumbs, but he chooses not to because the guy had most of the money. He doesn't want to do it. Throughout the movie, you see Rocky go just walking down the street and people recognize him. Everyone seems to like him. They like him enough. So, he's just a genuinely nice person. So I think that really helps. Because, John Travolta and his friends in Fever I was stunned watching that movie, just how awful they were. Oh, it's a disco movie. It's about a dance competition. This will be fun. And then it's like, oh, I still can't get over, and I know we're not talking about the movie, I still can't get over that scene in Saturday Night Fever where she gets like raped in the back of the car, and then after she's raped, John Travolta turns around and he's just like, "You happy with yourself?" And like, I was stunned. Like, I thought he couldn't be a bigger piece of shit. He didn't stop the rape. And then he completely blamed the victim. Jesus. Like, Rocky would have stopped it. Rocky wouldn't have even let the woman get into the car. He'd be like, "These are bad dudes." You know, he would get her out. And it's funny because Rocky, he's definitely a do as I say, not as I do type of guy. But he's looking out for people in the best way. The life advice he gave to that girl, saying like, "Hey, don't be a whore." Like, okay, that's a little crass, but when he said, if you want to be smart, get smart friends. If you want to be, this, get these types of friends. The whole principle of surrounding yourself with the people that you want, that will uplift you, is a great life lesson that he gave that girl, and then she just didn't appreciate it.
Well, she basically told him to F off, which is the movie dumping on him once again.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess like it all works out in Rocky 6. She comes back, and then she's like mellowed out. But that's a ways away.
The thing I noticed most about rewatching Rocky is how much of this flick is about Rocky and Adrian. And I think this is actually a romance story masquerading as an underdog sports movie.
I would agree with you to a point. They have a good amount of emphasis on their romance. I do think it's mostly Rocky's underdog story, though. It's an underdog story, but it's also just he wants to prove that he can go the distance. He wants to prove he's not a bum. One way that he does is he gets and keeps a great lady.
It might have been more dramatic for him to go to the distance if he didn't finally have that breakthrough with Adrian where they're really talking and hanging out. If somehow that didn't happen until after the Apollo fight, because they get together about halfway into the movie, and then I'm not as worried about how Rocky's going to do, because it's like, you got the girl. So I don't think I'm as invested in whether or not you beat Apollo, because compared to the start of the movie, you're way, way better off now that you have a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can understand that.
So it's obvious you're our resident Rocky expert. Tell me, how did we go from a-hole Paulie in this movie to Happy Birthday Paulie in the fourth one?
The real secret of Paulie is he never really gets any better. He stays a piece of crap. He didn't deserve the robot. He's never been a good friend to Rocky, or I mean, I guess he gets better he gets better in some ways, but even in Rocky 3, he's mad at Rocky because like he felt like Rocky wasn't doing enough for him. That's always been his character arc, and I think by number 4, he just didn't really need anything else because
he got a robot.
He got a robot, and he's just like riding Rocky's coattails for life. So like he's rich also. Generally, I don't like him, but he has his moments where he really does come through, or he just like, he speaks his mind. He'll speak his mind once per movie where it's like, okay, he's saying what the audience wants to say. Or he's just doing something right.
Also, after cashing in on Rocky's name, he actually holds on to that money throughout the series?
No, he keeps riding Rocky's coattails, and Rocky like just enables him. After this one, Rocky's pretty much rich.
Well, I heard immediately when they said they were going to pay Rocky $150,000 to fight.
Well, yeah, but you start to see it in the second one.
Does he buy another turtle?
Well, I mean, you'll have to watch the second one. I mean, he buys like a car, like a motorcycle, he buys a house, he's getting deals and stuff to do sponsorships. Yeah, he's making money hand over fist by the second movie. You know, it's funny, I've only seen the second one once, and I should rewatch it, because I remember it being really good, too. It wasn't like a typical number 2s are usually pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, they are.
It was a good number 2, like
Nothing better than a good number 2.
I know, yeah, as soon as I said it. I know I'm talking about the sequels more than I'm talking about this one, but at the end of the fight, Apollo's like, there ain't going to be a rematch. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, that's a good way to, if you weren't planning on doing sequels, that's great. But the way that the second one opens up, after Apollo and Rocky are taken to the hospital, Apollo's just heckling him and yelling at him and telling him, like, I'm going to beat you up next time. And so it's like immediately, like, as soon as he got any wits about him, he's just threatening Rocky, like, with the rematch. It's so funny.
Talking about Apollo for a bit, by the end of the movie, I had this impression that Apollo didn't train 1 second for that fight. Do you think that's what happened?
We didn't see any training, so I think if he trained, it was just bare bones, like maybe cardio, just so he's not completely out of shape.
Yeah, just his everyday routine, but not specifically to get fight ready.
He didn't get fight ready. When Rocky was training, one of Apollo's trainers saw the meat punching video and, hey, this guy's taking it seriously, and you hear Apollo in the background like, yeah, I'm serious too. Even one of the announcers, when Apollo took his robe off, mentioned like he's not in the shape he usually is in. It's like kind of like a if you stop paying attention for a second, you'll miss it moment. He's not taking it seriously because his whole attitude towards the fight anyways was, I'm just going to put on a show, get paid, I'll beat him in 3, who cares? It's a payday for him, I think. It was the novelty of the fight.
Yeah, he's just such a cocky bastard that it made me hate his team more when, I think after the first round, his corner man says, this guy actually, he thinks it's a real fight. That's not a show, it's a fight. You need to take his ass down. It's like, well, geez, don't just use Rocky like a frickin' puppet. Of course, it's his big shot.
Yeah, but they didn't, that's the beauty of the underdog story, right? Like, they just didn't expect him to take it seriously or be worth their time. They probably got the one fighter in Philly that would actually just, and that's the point, he was just going to give it his all. He wanted to go the distance. Like that moment he had with Adrian before the fight where he was like, I know I'm not going to win, like I'm not going to knock him out, but I just want to go the distance and go all the rounds.
It's interesting, especially from a perspective of not seeing this film too many times, how much Apollo doesn't figure into the overall story as far as interactions with Rocky. On this podcast, we always use Wrath of Khan as an example of how Kirk and Khan never actually exchange words in the same room. I think a close second is this movie. Besides the announcement of the fight and the actual fight, Do they ever actually say any words to one another?
No, I don't think so. But, it also just goes to show more that for Apollo, this is a business thing and just trying to get the payday. I mean, it's not like he really needs to talk to Rocky anyways, also. I mean, they're boxing opponents. They're not friends yet, so...
Are the doctor's reports confirmed?
Definitely. Says here Mackley Green has suffered a severely cracked third metacarpal in his left hand. Of course, we can cancel the fight indefinitely if you're set on fighting Green.
Hey, it ain't just Green. Now, what about all the time Apollo is invested?
I believe we can find a solution.
Solution, nothing. Now, you better find me another ranked contender, and I mean in a flash, Jurgens.
Don't play games with my client. Apollo's already done $1 million worth of publicity, has made contractual obligations with 20 different organizations. He's not going to be embarrassed.
I contacted Ernie Roman's manager. Ernie's fighting in France that same week.
And get me Buddy Shaw. Hell, he's ranked 5th.
Went to California and gained 50 pounds. I got hold of every worthwhile contender, and they all say the same thing. 5 weeks just isn't enough time to get into shape.
Oh, shape nothing, man. They're afraid. Hell, they know everybody in the world's gonna see this fight, and none of them got a prayer whipping me. So they're making excuses so they don't have to be the chump to get whipped in front of the whole civilized world.
All I can say is I'm a good promoter. I've promoted fights in every goddamn country in the world, and I've broken my ass over this. But I don't know what the hell else to do.
I did. Without a ranked contender, what this fighter's gonna need is a novelty. This is the land of opportunity, right? So Apollo Creed on January 1st gives a local underdog fighter an opportunity. A Snow White underdog, and I'm gonna put his face on this poster with me. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm sentimental. And a lot of other people in this country are just as sentimental, and there's nothing they'd like better than to see Apollo Creed give a local Philadelphia boy a shot at the greatest title in the world on this country's biggest birthday. Now, that's the way I see it. And that's the way it's gonna be.
Apollo, I like it. It's very American.
No, Jurgens. It's very smart.
I didn't miss it. I'm not counting it as a strike against the movie. How I viewed the movie as a piece of pop culture, you just think of Carl Weathers being a bigger part of the movie. He certainly is to the plot, but as far as any juicy scenes where he talks to Rocky, there aren't any.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it is good that this became a franchise and that they were able to develop him in 3 more movies. And more if you count the Creed movies.
Yeah. Oh, the Creed movies.
What's your favorite moment in Rocky?
During the fight, there's a part in... Once the montage starts happening and the score comes in with the, dun 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 dun.
Mm-hmm.
There's that part where Apollo punches Rocky and it goes down. Musical cue in the score where it's like da 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 da. And he knocks him. And then the violins come in, and Rocky's struggling to get up, and Mickey's yelling at him to stay down, and he's just like, nope, and he gets back up and keeps going. It brings a tear to my eye every time, dude. Every time.
And in that moment, what's really affecting you? Is it that this guy has been such a loser and that he just won't back down?
Like, him being a loser doesn't factor in for it. It's just that kind of stuff in a movie where, just people not giving up, really just trying to go the distance, and they have something to prove. And there's something about it where it's almost, more impactful in, a sports-type movie. All the training you have to do and all the work you have to put in to get to that level. His own manager and trainer is telling him to stay down, and he's ignoring it. He believes in himself, and he's going to go for it.
The crux of this episode of the podcast is movies that have impacted us in ways more than just being a good watch. What is it about this particular film that affected you?
It's the not giving up, grabbing an opportunity while you can, because when the fight was being pitched to Rocky, he didn't want to do it at first, because, he thought he was going to be a sparring partner, but then he gets the bomb dropped on him that it's for him to have a shot at the belt. And he just automatically was like, I'm not going to be a good opponent. You know, I can't do this. And he had to be talked into it, where it's just like, hey, don't let this opportunity slip. And he didn't. And I think it's stuff like that. In life, everyone has at least some form of regret or opportunity that they didn't take. When people say, like, oh, I don't have any regrets, it's bullshit. I think we all at least have one or two. Even if you took an opportunity, something could blow up in your face spectacularly and think, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I think that's why it's impactful for me, because it's just, there are opportunities I should have seized, whether it was like in school or when I was like fresh out of college. I could have hit the ground running a little harder when I was trying to work for music studios when I got out of college. Opportunities weren't coming around, and then I got to a point where I was like, oh, time to go to paralegal school because I need to make money.
Time to be an adult.
Yeah, time to be an adult, but it's just the sticking to your dreams and your convictions and belief in yourself. That stuff, and just in a lot of movies, is very impactful for me, but Rocky, I think, is the most impactful, and I think a lot of it is because of Rocky's low self-esteem can resonate with a lot of people. It resonated with me. The literal and figurative fight to prove that you're worth something that goes really well with this movie, because you could have made this a football movie where he's trying out and he's trying to prove something, but boxing is literally like, he's fighting. He's throwing punches and taking punches. Everything that he's trying to be and those who have put him down, and he went the distance with life.
Have you ever come to or needed to make a decision or faced a challenge and thought about Rocky?
Rocky's more of like an aspirational thing for like the wilder dreams, not like the realistic stuff. That's when I get like super hopeful. Like I had an internship at a music studio a number of years ago at this point where I was like, oh dude, like this could actually be like my foot in the door, because I went through the paralegal program and I hadn't started working at a law office yet. And so I had this opportunity to do this music studio. And so then it would be like the aspirations of getting a job there and getting paid. So I guess like with the Rocky, where that would fit in is just more of going the distance. And I felt like I did, like I did end up, it's going to sound bad. Like I didn't get the job. I actually ended up just I ended up quitting. It was this unpaid internship, and like I'm driving from like anyone from the LA area, Norwalk to like downtown LA. It's like I'm doing like 20 miles one way. I'm doing this like 5 days a week, and I would be at the studio from like 10 a.m. till, sometimes I'd be leaving at midnight, and then I would be going back the next day at 10 a.m., and I was putting in a lot of hours, wasn't getting paid. I did a lot of work for that studio. They wanted you there for 3 months before you get a performance review or something. Like, I never got the performance review, because the performance review was supposed to be like, oh, we'll decide if we're going to start paying you or not. And they just kept putting it off, and so it's like, all right, I had to make that decision. In that way, I guess I was the bum that people were taking advantage of, maybe like Rocky. Rocky's like the hopes and dreams things, not like the realistic crossroads that I come to, you know what I mean?
That's a lot better. You went long enough that if they were going to uphold their end and do that review, it's great that you didn't quit a month in to where you wouldn't have known what would have happened with the review or if they would have brought you in.
I can hold my head up high about it, because I was there for I was technically an intern there 4 or 5 months. I put a lot of time in. Yeah, I did a lot of work for them, dude.
In the larger franchise of Rocky movies, what aspects of this first one do you think they should have stuck with, and what do you think made sense to not bring back in subsequent pictures?
Every movie, he always has to have something to prove to somebody. It always has to be to himself. So with this one, he proves that he can. And then in the second one, it's like he has to, that time he actually kind of has to beat Apollo to prove that he's worth everyone's time. He always goes back to not a bum. They continued that into the Creed franchise as well, which that has to be a central component of these movies. Usually I don't like things where the characters go backwards, and I think that's one of the reasons why Rocky V, but it was a plot point, for him to go broke again. After all that movies and all the struggles, you're just going to put him back where he was. Because at that point, he didn't have too much to prove. And I think that's another one of the reasons why the movie just didn't click. I don't remember what he was trying to prove in the fifth one, other than just he can be a mentor.
So my knee-jerk reaction to the question of what should they have kept from this one, I want to say the realism, but then immediately I know we wouldn't have gotten Rocky IV.
Oh, yeah. Or 3.
I guess in that way they did it right. And I remember the first two being more grounded. I suppose for the longevity of the franchise, you have to take it to Moonraker at least once to keep people guessing. Well, let's take a moment and talk about the fact that this is the 100th episode of The Screen Companion that's going to air. I'd like to take you back along memory lane. This was 2021, and this show started from a discussion with frequent guest Stacy about Smallville of all things, how he hadn't watched much of it, and we were going to do a podcast about introducing him to the show. And then that ended up being just one episode of the first season of the podcast. I'm really glad we didn't do our original plan, because shortly after that, or maybe shortly before that, I can't quite remember the exact timeline, the actors on the show started their own podcast. And I was like, well, geez, you can't beat that, because not only is it cast members talking about it, but they have all these guests that were on the show with them, directors, writers, producers. You can't top that. So, Andrew, do you recall what you thought when I told you about this podcast initially?
I thought it sounded like a fun time. And I remember thinking, like, oh, yeah, I thought you'd do a good job. Whenever we talked about movies or something, it was always a nice discussion. And I felt an interesting one. Because I think, like, as much as we seem to disagree here, I think that you and I do have similar tastes, or at least in our differences, we can be very civil, which goes a long way.
As the producer, I'm going to lean into controversial movies, the mix of guests, and picking movies that I might know one party will disagree on, or that I know I'll have reservations about, because it keeps it more interesting that way.
I appreciate that you do that, and you indulged me with Speed Racer, so...
I tried to. I made an honest effort, but I just couldn't... I couldn't go the distance with that one.
You couldn't, no. You haven't gone the distance on a number of things that I have suggested.
Whoa, that's exaggerating. Maybe 4. So a handful.
4 is kind of a lot. 4 is kind of a lot of movies to not watch for a movie podcast.
No, not to finish. Okay, that I didn't finish.
Okay, not to finish, yeah.
Plus, you're my second most frequent guest, so that's just a small piece of the pie.
That's true.
Has this podcast affected the way you watch new movies or think about old ones?
For ones I've seen before, yes. But generally just in the discussions, like I like hearing other people's opinions on things because it can reframe certain things for me. It's just always interesting to hear what other people catch or what they noticed or what I may have missed.
Do any particular episodes of the pod stick out in your mind?
One of them's Arrogant, but it's definitely the Asian cinema one, because I remember, like, John loved the movie I picked. Because I think generally I don't pick things that he enjoys very much. Because I remember him being like, oh, this movie's great, and I felt really good about that. And I know it's a more recent one, so it is in my memory, but I did like the Body Snatchers 3-way. That was a good one.
Oh, why that in particular?
It was really interesting to break down the 3 versions of the same story, pointing out all the differences and the similarities and how they were, I mean, really like 3 very unique movies. That kind of stuff is interesting because it's, once again, just more of a question of perspective. Although one thing that did pop into my mind just now was how the musicals episode, the one that I wasn't on, where you talked about Singing in the Rain and Sweeney Todd. And I remember listening to that episode. There have been a few episodes where I've listened to him and I thought, damn, he really should have had me on here. That was one of them. That was one of them. Because I felt like I needed to stand up for those movies. And the thing is like, I didn't understand some of the beef that people had with those films. I was listening to it, I was like, dude, why the hell is everyone so upset with Singing in the Rain? Like, it's a classic. And everyone's like, oh, this movie's lame. It's like, get out of here.
I don't recall going as far as calling it lame. I saw a lot of problems with it.
I still don't understand how. And then with Sweeney Todd, I was also kind of like, damn, you guys really ripped into that one.
Hey, that was my pick for it. I was its defender.
You were the defender, but John and the missus were just haters. And that episode actually has my favorite John line was when he was talking about the old coworker. His favorite movie was Singing in the Rain, but you would never have guessed it because he was a raging alcoholic and drank himself to death, or whatever his line was. But I remember having to like rewind and listen to that again because I wanted to make sure I heard him right.
Yeah, there are a few moments like that in his episodes. When I'm editing them, I have to rewind and go, wait, what was that?
Yeah, because it seems like such a non sequitur. I know it's on point, like it has something to do with it, but it's just like, wow, what a thing to say.
4 years in, Andrew, why do you still do the podcast?
It's a good time. I do like recording. Also, like, I get to see, sometimes there are movies a lot of them I haven't seen, so it's a good reason for me to just pick something up and watch it. With nowadays, with like all the stuff with like streaming and all that, it really is just that that paradox of choice where I might want to like watch something instead of playing a video game or something, but I'll be scrolling for like half an hour trying to look for something to watch. And then by then I usually give up and I'll put something on that I've already seen, or living with my fiance, I might just at that point be like, oh, you pick something. There's too much. So to have like, hey, Andrew, this is what you need to watch by this date, gets me on there.
Dude, it's like I paid you before the show to say that. That's exactly one of the things I thought about in thinking about what my mission statement was for the show.
There's just a lot to watch nowadays. Not just with the amount of stuff that's available on the services, but all the new stuff that's coming out too. So there's always like, oh man, like I'm gonna have to like I don't watch a lot of new stuff nowadays because it's just too much, man. It's too much. I like the structure of being essentially just told what to watch, because then my arrogance gets tickled a little bit because I can pretend like what I say. It makes me feel like an expert sometimes to come on here, and I know I'm just an average dude. So there's that part of it too, of just the ego.
But on this show, you are our Rocky expert.
The Rocky expert, yeah. So,
you've reached the end of the 100th episode of The Screen Companion. If you've been a long-time listener, thank you. And if you're listening for the first time, welcome aboard.